Manchester City have to ask unexpected question of £31 million signing after shock call-up. Rayan Aït-Nouri could be back for Manchester City after the international break, but there is a question over whether he gets his place back. May's FA Cup final defeat to Crystal Palace is a blot on the copybook for Manchester City, but particularly for 20-year-old Nico O'Reilly. That is the only one of the previous 19 games he has started for his club that has ended with him on the losing side. O'Reilly is becoming something of a lucky charm for the Blues. After 22 starts in all competitions, they have been beaten just twice, and one of them is the Carabao Cup reverse to Tottenham last October, which feels like it shouldn't really count. You wouldn't put it all down to O'Reilly, but there is certainly an argument for the academy graduate being the kind of player who makes those around him better as well. For one so young, his game intelligence is excellent, which is why he has gone from promising attacking midfielder to England left-back in the space of 10 months. His call-up as an injury replacement for Reece James for games against Wales and Latvia is another indication of his rapid progress in this calendar year. Last season, he started his 7th game for City on April 6th. This season, he brought up that landmark on Sunday. It has taken O'Reilly just 10 starts in the Premier League to force his way into Thomas Tuchel's plans, and there is certainly a vacancy at left-back in this England squad. There is no reason he can't have one eye on the World Cup next summer. To do that, he will need more experience, and that might be the biggest question mark over the next few months. After all, O'Reilly still insists he isn't really a fullback, and his stint of filling in on the left was supposed to have ended with the £31 million signing of Rayan Aït-Nouri. That looked to be the case early in the season. The Algerian started the first 3 games, and when he was forced off through injury against Tottenham, it was Nathan Ake who replaced him. In the games against Wolves and Brighton, O'Reilly came on for Bernardo Silva in the kind of advanced midfield role he expects to eventually make his own one day. The problem with that plan is that he continues to make playing left-back look pretty easy. With Aït-Nouri now injured, O'Reilly has played all but 24 minutes of City's last 7 matches. Of course, he went unbeaten in a run that has already turned this campaign on its head. When domestic action resumes after the international break, the expectation is that Aït-Nouri will be fit, or at least close to being fit. If he doesn't get enough training to face Everton, he could be back by the end of this month. Then Pep Guardiola has a decision to make. He continues to be enthused by O'Reilly's talent and character, traits which will now be on show to an even wider audience. When Aït-Nouri is fit again, does the natural left-back retake that spot, with O'Reilly returning to the role of midfield substitute? Manchester City have huge advantage in £231 million title race subplot with Arsenal and Liverpool. Manchester City are firmly back in the title race after they battled to a 1-0 win against Brentford at the G-Tech Community Stadium. What a difference 4 days make. Erling Haaland scowled at the cameras and berated his teammates after his 2 goals at Monaco were only enough for a draw on Wednesday night. In West London, his goal was enough for a vital 3 points in the Premier League title race, and he stripped off at full time, handing his shirt to a giddy supporter in the away end, with that scowl replaced by a beaming smile. Haaland again showed moments of frustration in the second half at Brentford, as City lost the control and dominance they had enjoyed before the break, but they managed to hang on. After Liverpool were beaten for the 3rd time in a week, this felt like the day that truly relaunched a 3-horse race for the title. It's been something of an old-school Premier League season so far, with a heavy focus on set pieces and long throws, so maybe it would be fitting if the title was decided by a trio of number 9S. After a spell when strikers were an endangered species, they are back, and the breeding ground for the old-school marksman seems to be Scandinavia. So, it is a significant subplot in what is shaping up to be a 3-horse race that the leading contenders all have someone who fits that bill. Just 25 months separate Erling Haaland, Alexander Isak and Victor Gyökeres in age, the Norwegian and 2 Swedes who wear the number. 9 for City, Liverpool and Arsenal respectively, and they have taken very different journeys to the position where their goal-scoring output could decide the destiny of the 2025/26 Premier League. They cost their current clubs £231 million in transfer fees, and the fact that Haaland came in cheapest of all shows what a deal City got. Not only did they land the best striker of the modern era, but they also tied him to a contract that kept him at the Etihad until 2034. 10 more years, 10 more years. Erling Haaland sang the away end at the G-Tech Community Stadium after he had scored his 18th goal in 11 games for club and country this year. Gyökeres has 3 in 10 for Arsenal, and Isak has 1 in 6 for Liverpool. Haaland's tally for City is 12 in 9. This goal was remarkably similar in structure to his opener in Monaco in midweek. He made another bending run to offer a pass to Josko Gvardiol, but had more to do when the ball reached him, bullying Sepp van der Berg to get in on goal, and the finish was never in doubt when he got to see the whites of Kaoimhin Kelleher's eyes. That made it 20 different Premier League stadiums he has scored in, with Anfield the last fortress to be broken. He will have to wait until February to try his luck again on Merseyside. But on this evidence, that could be one of several head-to-heads between the big three this season that could define the destiny of the title. Of course, it won't all come down to the strikers. Arsenal and Liverpool could point to having attacks that contribute more collectively than City's, but for now, Haaland is making that irrelevant. He is scoring enough for 2 attackers, and if that continues, he could give his club the edge come May. Manchester City player ratings versus Brentford with 3 8 out of 10s as Erling Haaland, good Manchester City, beat Brentford 1-0 in the Premier League to continue their unbeaten streak after being made to work hard for the points. Manchester City hung on to claim 3 points at Brentford for their first away win in the Premier League since the opening day. Defeat at Brighton was followed by a late draw at Arsenal, but the Blues left West London with a hard-earned victory. Everything looked easy for Pep Guardiola's side in a one-sided opening half, with Erling Haaland scoring early and Phil Foden and Tijani Reinders among those going close to extending the lead. However, another goal did not come, and it was a completely different game in the second half. Brentford pushed City all the way in the second period, but City held out for what could be a big win in their season. Brentford versus Manchester City Premier League prediction. Odds and betting offer. Manchester City will be looking to avoid a repeat of their disappointing draw at Monaco when they travel to West London to face Brentford this weekend. Brentford and Manchester City meet in the Premier League this weekend, with both teams arriving in solid form. After back-to-back defeats to Tottenham and Brighton a few weeks ago, City have found their rhythm again and are currently enjoying a strong run. Pep Guardiola's side come into this fixture unbeaten in their last 6 games, with 4 wins and 2 draws, including a 2-2 draw against Monaco in the Champions League, a match they largely dominated and arguably should have won. Brentford, tipped by many as relegation candidates before the season began, have exceeded expectations in several matches. The Bees have picked up 3 wins, 1 draw, and 2 losses in their last 6 outings across all competitions, most recently securing an impressive 3-1 victory over Manchester United. However, Brentford's main concern remains their defence. They've conceded nearly 2 goals per game over their last 6 matches, and their expected goals against per 90 is the second worst in the league. While Keith Andrews' side have shown attacking promise, scoring 9 goals in 6 games, they remain vulnerable at the back, which could be costly against a free-scoring Manchester City. City have netted 20 goals in 9 games this season, with Erling Haaland in sensational form, accounting for 11 of those goals. With such firepower, City will be confident of finding the net against Brentford's shaky defence and testing goalkeeper Kaoimhin Kelleher. Recent history suggests goals are likely in this fixture. 4 of the last 6 meetings between these sides have produced over 2.5 goals. Expect another high-scoring affair, with Manchester City favoured to come out on top. Pep Guardiola's comments about Nico Gonzalez offer a clear and strategic message to Manchester City fans and observers amid growing concerns over Rodri's fitness and form. Here's the key takeaway from Guardiola's statements and what it means for City. What Pep Guardiola said about Nico Gonzalez sends telling Manchester City message amid Rodri concerns. Manchester City boss. Pep Guardiola believes Nico Gonzalez's continuing to patience could be the defining word of Manchester City's midfield this season. Patience with Rodri as he finds his feet again after a serious knee injury wiped out the best part of 9 months. And patience with Nico Gonzalez as he adapts to life in blue and tries to fill Rodri's considerable shoes. Gonzalez arrived in January for £50 million, and he gradually featured less and less as City struggled for form. He's made 8 appearances this campaign and has been entrusted with the pivotal midfield role, with Mateo Kovacic having been out injured. And while the jury might be out on Gonzalez's long-term viability as a defensive midfielder, the 23-year-old is impressing Pep Guardiola with the City boss, at pains to point out the positives in the former Porto man's play on the eve of the Premier League trip to Brentford. In the 30 minutes that Nico Gonzalez played against Monaco, he was the player who recovered more ball in the transition, said Guardiola of the man who conceded a controversial last-minute penalty when his boot connected with Eric Dyer's head in the box. Guardiola spoke to Gonzalez on the pitch at length after the Carabao Cup win over Huddersfield last month, one of several conversations with the Spaniard during that contest. It's clear the City chief is desperate for Gonzalez to improve and grasp the message being passed on. And Guardiola is confident he will. He is so young. It's not like we have had 7 or 8 years together, he said. He has had not even 1 year with us together in a tough period, and there are many things that, in a step-by-step, he is going to take it, because he is open-minded. He's incredibly coachable. Not all of the players are. He will get it. Even Rodri, when he started in his first season, he struggled. It is normal. But Nico is Nico. He has to be Nico. He may well be being Nico on the bench at Brentford with Rodri in line to start.